Jordan.
Present.
Sheriff Dumont.
Here.
Lori Musser.
Here.
Derek Gander.
Here.
Jennifer Martucci.
Here.
Jeff Scott.
Present. Okay. You all please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Got the agenda there before you. There is one item. It is item 2A, the EDA, the security agreement. That we need to pull off because there's been some changes that we need to bring up at the next meeting. Any other changes anybody has to offer? If not, I'd appreciate a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
I'll second.
Jennifer made the motion and Derek seconded. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. So we have the agenda before us. First thing up, Board President's report. We have some celebrations. So we're going to celebrate these tonight. We'll do a little bit more later on in the school year, but I wanted to share the wrestling team took first place in the state.
Wow.
Yep.
Great.
Very nice. Is there an image for that one? No. Okay.
We'll have them here
Okay.
next month.
They're going to come next month. And then also the Joplin High School basketball team District 5 championship. So both of those put us in good standing for the conference championship for the year. It's a combination of points, but we'll know more in a couple months how that fares out. I think that's all I've got for celebrations. No, now we've got, here we go. There's the Science Day. So this was Science Day at Pittsburgh State University on February 22nd. The Science Education Center at Pittsburgh State University invites area students of science at the secondary level to participate in individual and team events in the departments of biology, chemistry, and physics at PSU each year. Joplin School's physics team brought home the third place team award. So congratulations to the physics team. Next up, we've got, again, this is the Physics Face-Off team. 4 powerhouse physics students that answered 170 questions that covered all physics topics to bring home first place.
Wow.
Yep. The team members are Hunter Embry, Rushi Patel, Austin Buckner, and Gabe Dooley.
Wow.
Yay. On the Science Day winners in biology, the Biology Bowl, Quiz Bowl, first place Ian Miller and Carly Short. First place there. And then winners in chemistry, and a note that the only Missouri schools won any award in this category. In the individual, Joe Roll took first place for the second year. Yep.
Wow.
And for the first year team, Chris Moran and Nathan Heath both took first place. And then the second year team, Joe Roll and Krusha Bhakta took second place. So congratulations to everybody. The smaller students here at West Central, they took some time to help out others. A 4th grade teacher at West Central organized a sock drive to benefit Water Gardens and Children's Haven. With a competition between the classes, they raised over 700 pairs of socks. Wow. So this is Mrs. Gilbert's winning 4th grade class. So appreciate you guys thinking about hers. All right, this next one is entitled The DePoe Show. Irving Elementary's reduced behavior referrals by more than 50% this school year compared to last year. One positive reinforcement used with students is a building-wide Eagle Bucks. Drawings for Eagle Bucks are done weekly and monthly with the option of winning a spot on the DePoe Show. Mr. DePoe hosts a morning show each day. The student council helps pick the music and write the script. It's the heartbeat of how Irving is starting each morning, and here's one of Irving's lucky winners, Kaylee, who aired on the show last week. So that's great. Next, we've got the policy committee.
We met this month, and we have, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 policies we're bringing forward for first reading. Those were all, I believe, statutory changes, so nothing in particular. And then we just have on the consent agenda, we just have one that was second reading.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a good meeting.
Very
Always
good.
is. Very productive.
Next up, Superintendent's Data Report.
Yes, and Sandra Cantwell is going to talk to us first tonight and give just the board an update about Joplin School's mental health and several of the things that we have going on to address that important topic. And I think she has a handout for everyone.
I hope I have enough for everybody. I will just send a few on both sides. Well, we know that it's our responsibility to educate all students, and while we try to meet the needs of all students, sometimes we know that mental health issues get in the way of learning. And so we take it very seriously to try to meet the needs of these students. And Jeff Koch had asked us to give an update on some of the things that we were doing, including the Safe Teens Coalition that hosted the Suicide Prevention Town Hall meeting last night. Very good town hall meeting. I don't know if any of you guys got to be there or see that on live television, but that was it was very insightful. And then in preliminary discussions with Ozark Center, we've been talking to them, and they believe that they could provide us with a number of school-based mental health therapists who could work with some of the students in the school that are being pulled out weekly to go to an appointment at Will's Place or some other place. So by the time their parents come and get them and they leave school and they come back, it's 3 or 4 hours, when if they had a place at school where they could meet with those kids, it might be 15 minutes instead of 3 hours. So we've been working with MSBA. We just sent Ozark Center's MOU and agreement to MSBA to review that, to see if there were revisions or additions that we need to make or that we need to be aware of, because this is something new for us. We can allow Ozark Center to bill for Medicaid for this. We can include that part of the students that they would work with do not have to qualify for Medicaid. So that would be a resource, a community resource that is available that would not cost the district any money, just a space for those people to meet with the students that they already work with. It's not crisis intervention, but it's more working with those kids that may be, if you think about a pyramid of interventions, that tier 2 that are in the middle that they're already seeing weekly, or it could be those tier 3 kids, but they would also be there to build relationships with our counselors and our administrators and our teachers. And so when a kid is in crisis, they could point them in the right direction. They might not be the one that intervenes right then, but they could support us to help us know how to get those kids help. And then in turn, they might be seeing those kids weekly or however often they would. So that's a great opportunity that is available to us. And as soon as we get the go-ahead from MSBA on that MOU, we are ready to talk about making it happen. Dr. Saketa has been working with a team to look at the suicide prevention policy. We have to have that in place by July, and that has been, the draft has been sent to MSBA for their viewing, and then once we hear back, we will submit it to the board policy committee for review and adoption. This past week, Dr. Eggleston, Dr. Moss, Janet Earl, and Dr. Saketa, actually, I forgot to put you in there, we all met with John Godfrey to develop a plan for when the teachers came back from break, where we could be at the school to really do a needs assessment. John suggested that we just go do a lot of listening, and Brandon talked about on Wednesday and Thursday, the teachers have longer plan periods, so half of the teachers have plan period on Wednesday, the other half on Thursday. John Godfrey and another mental health provider, we've been talking to Renee White and also Jim Black from the Alliance are going to be at the high school next week, just to meet with the staff and really to try to, this is really reactive because of the recent happenings, to help them get through the rest of this school year. But the long-term plan is to put the type of supports and tiers of supports in place so that we're not reacting, but we're identifying those kids and their needs before it gets to the point that we are losing them. That's the goal. So that was that meeting. Then this is another exciting thing. MSSU Social Work Department is sending me an MOU, a draft MOU tomorrow. They have students who are getting a bachelor in social work, and they would like to utilize them and let them get field experience in our elementary schools, working with counselors, maybe doing some group sessions, you know, bullying prevention, things that they're learning about in their social work class. So we talked about that in leadership today, and I have some information on that if anyone wants to see more about it. But that would be another no-cost opportunity for the district to take advantage of as well. And then we're investigating the use of master's level students from Missouri State, University of Arkansas, and University of Missouri Kansas City. Janet Earl has been talking to those places. Jim Black from the Alliance and the Joplin High School counselors are working together to develop suicide curriculum. The Jason Foundation is one resource they are using, and then DESE and other national entities also have a variety of curriculum opportunities that they can use that is evidence-based as well. And then we have started a Joplin Schools Mental Health Task Force. We've met once, we meet again tomorrow. And this group is made up of mental health providers from the community, from Mercy, from Freeman, people from the Alliance, principals, our nursing coordinators, central staff administration, school counselors. And when we met the first time, we really defined our purpose, and then in groups they came up with needs. What are some needs that we have, you know, based on this wide perspective for mental health people, from the school, and so I've compiled those, and then they also compiled a list of resources that we could tap into that are available to us now, and that's where the social work department from MSSU and the Ozark Center, those things came about with that. But when we meet tomorrow, we're going to be looking at the needs that were identified and the resources, and really take a look at the top 3 to figure out what can we do right now and what's the plan of action. We don't want to sit around and just talk about the problem, but we want to walk away with what's the next step, what are we going to do to address this issue. And we know it's not just a school issue, it's a community issue, and so I believe that having this team of people from the community come together and us all working together to support not only students but our staff I think we're on the right track. I feel very positive and I'm passionate about this, and I know that I mean, I've been in education for 26 years. We can't fix everything, but we can be a part of the solution as we work with the community to support the people in our system.
Thank you. I think it's great that the work that you're doing and sharing with us those activities, because sometimes when the only information parents get is from their students, they don't necessarily come home with a nice letter of what resources are out there and what we're doing. So sharing that with us is important.
And I will be sharing this tomorrow, but I've sent a survey out with 6 questions. I worked with Dr. Saketa on this, to the principals and counselors, just to really compile a list, because like you just said, we don't always, I mean, I know what we're doing right here,
right,
but I don't necessarily know what they're doing at Jefferson or what they're doing at Eastmoreland. So the schools are compiling a list of the supports that they already have in place, you know, and I may hear what they're doing at Jefferson and decide, well, I can do some of those things at Eastmoreland as well. So we'll share those resources and those
best practices
that we're already doing with each other as we move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank
Very
you.
encouraging.
Appreciate it.
It's awesome.
And next up, our health and dental insurance reports, Dr. Langford.
Well, again, you have the information before you, and the health fund continues to be maintaining itself in a solid position. The usage has been just a little bit ahead of a year ago, but yet not significantly ahead. But as compared to 2 years ago, it's significantly lower. If you would notice, you know, we've through February would be 8 months of the fiscal year that's been taken care of, and we used, you know, the expenditure has been 42%. So it's tracking, and again, the thing that we're happiest about is that the number of major claims has not caused it to bend in the wrong direction. So we're very, very hopeful that we can continue this trend. And if we do, well, the reserves now, if you look at it today compared to what's on paper, we're right around the $5 million mark. And so I think you're accomplishing what the desire was a couple of years ago when some significant increases in premiums took place. Be glad to answer any questions. And then on the school finance, again, you have the information. The thing that I'm most pleased about on the expenditure side, we're still operating well. We're operating some less than a year ago, but there were some major expenditures a year ago that we've not incurred this year. So if you back those out, we're well within the budget and the expected expenses. On the information sheet that you had on next Monday, when the bank opens, that 1.18% will go up to 1.34% because the prime rate did go up this past week. And then when you made the decision to allow third-party investment in the Municipal Missouri Investment Securities Program, today or tomorrow we will be investing some money for 180 days, or just under 180 days, for 2.34%. So we're really starting to see some revenue now being generated. We've laddered it out so that we have money available over 6 months, and the goal is to have money available to help supplement, because we're at a high point on having funds in the bank right now, and they won't diminish until we get the local sales tax money again back in the fall. But we have it so that we can access funds to have it supplement what the state gives us and make our monthly payrolls and things. So very pleased that you made the decision to let us invest that money.
Appreciate you taking care of it.
And then finally, in the data report, you have the enrollment report, and you see that broken out by each campus, and also class counts at the elementary levels. And we are up 70 students in enrollment over this time last year. The other part of that we are still desperately working on is the attendance piece, because our ADA is down just under 0.5% compared to this time last year. So it's a combination probably of some weather and some flu and illnesses in the last month or two, as well as just general things that our attendance committee is working on to try to get on top of attendance and encourage all our families and students and parents to be sure that you're here for learning.
Thank you very much. Next up, we do have some public comments. Looks like we've got 4 of them, and they weren't given me in any particular order. Kathy Lamb. Kathy, are you here?
We're all at the same time, Jeff.
Okay. So I'm going to read this. You've got a copy of it also, the instructions. Let's see. All right, when you approach the standing microphone, which is up over here on this side, please give your name and address. Please do not identify any district personnel or student by name or any other identifiable information. Whoever's first up.
You're by yourself.
There's one spokesperson for the group.
You need moral support.
My name is Joshua Bard. I live at 2702 East 11th Street, Joplin, Missouri. I'm going to this is going to kind of tie into this student services or the support services that you guys were talking about a second ago. I love that the school and community are getting behind suicide awareness. I personally and many others would love to see the school and community get behind the walk up. Set aside the walk out and look at the meaning of the walk up in its truest form. to me, it's controlling the controllables. With there being no doubt that teen suicide is on the rise, I want to do everything we can as a community, and I strongly feel that getting our students involved in this movement will not only change lives, but possibly save a life. And I also gave you guys a little bit of literature there to take a look at. And I brought some people with me today to kind of speak how they feel about it, and a couple of them from the community and from the high school themselves.
My name is Charlie McGrew. I live at 2912 Minnesota in Joplin. And I guess I asked Josh if I could just join with him this evening. Really, the walk-up is just common courtesy, you know, and basic kindness is really all it is. There's nothing profound about it, but it can have some profound effects. You know, you see a student that's sitting by themselves in the lunchroom, and they sit that way every day. Just very simply go up and offer to sit with them, bring them into your group. You see somebody that's obviously a loner and having some problems, just be friendly, you know? It's just basic kindness and common courtesy. Now, everybody, obviously, is not going to get behind it, but some will. And my view is the ones that have got some guts will. It's easy to just sit back and let things like that go on. It takes some courage to step out and do that. So I guess I just would like to recommend that you all get behind this. Obviously, it's going to take student, teacher, and community involvement. But a program like this starts with the top. You got to get, anybody in business can tell you, if you don't get management behind it, it's not going to go anywhere. So a lot of ways to implement it, a lot of ideas and things that can come up, but the first step is getting you folks behind it. And I think it could definitely generate some benefits. So obviously, I am not a parent of a student, but I'm a grandparent. Okay, so and very interesting. I have several grandchildren who are in the schools, and this is just and I think the atmosphere. Another thing I want to just quickly briefly mention was that the atmosphere that we're currently having around, I think, could very easily make the student body and the community more receptive to something like this. Obviously, problems, and I think that they might be receptive to get behind something like this. So, that was a good time to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Baden, I'm 1810 South Illinois Avenue. I am currently a student at Joplin High School, and the walk-up is a great idea to me because it will prevent and help the kids that are lonely and that are sad and depressed and that need someone there for them. It all starts with one person just randomly coming up to them and then just saying hello. There's been so much bullying and so much happening, and I wish our school district has done something sooner, in all honesty, because there has been counselors coming in, and they've been church counselors, and they haven't done much for our students. I wish our district has brought in real counselors to help our students. And I feel like this walk-up will stop the suicides. I hope that it will make a difference and that it will brighten someone's day. It will change someone's mind when they go home if they're feeling bad thoughts or something. That they will continue to change and go on to someone else that they feel that is lonely and continue on, because I know personally I've been bullied. I've been bullied not only by students but faculty. And it's not a good feeling. And the walk-up is a good feeling when someone randomly comes comes up to you and says, stop. And just a smile on their face and all is a good feeling. And for you guys to come behind us and support it, we mean the world. Because then the rest of the students that are feeling lonely and sad and don't feel like they have an advocate, we feel like you guys are their advocates and that you support them.
Thank you.
My name is Kathy Lamb. I live at 905 South Avenue, Joplin, Missouri. I'm the parent of some unfortunately children. And I wish I could have them speak, because I think that their words would have impacted you much more than mine. But as a parent, it's concerning when your kids come home at the end of the day and tell you that they don't know why they're alive. They don't want to live anymore. And that's just an example. There are too many students who feel that way, who carry that act out, who don't get to have the future that they should have. And that's all that this is. These students are in school to learn about the future they should have, not to go home at the end of the day and feel like school is not a safe place for them. Walk Up is a great idea. It's a fantastic idea for movement. I'd love to see it become more than movement. I'd love to see it be a lifestyle that these kids instill upon themselves, because they're taught that by those that they look up to. And teachers can have the most profound impact on students. There are students who come from homes where parents are not always involved, and so the teachers are the heroes. So if you guys outline that, it could make a significant impact. Kids like mine, every other kid out there.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Okay, next up, we've got the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, Derek motion, Lori second. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Now we're up to section 3, policy updates.
And you have the policies before you for second reading, as Jennifer shared earlier. And this is an alignment with federal and state laws, and we recommend second reading approval of the policy.
Isn't that part of the consent agenda that we just approved?
Well, it's listed as item 3.
Oh,
The
I'm
consent
sorry.
agenda.
I was just rolling right
Yeah,
along.
no, I
Okay.
just, no, 'cause I-
So that was a motion for the entirety.
That was for, yes, so we
Okay.
should be on the.
Prime
for the Charlie
contract.
Center.
Okay. It's not listed in the consent agenda.
It's just.
It's under the heading.
Under the heading.
Maybe I'm looking at a different
Okay.
screen here?
Yeah, I'm looking at this one right here, and then it's
It's all
down
in
to
consent.
prime order.
Yeah, but.
The numbering
It's
threw you
all in
off,
consent.
because you've got your heading.
Well, let's make sure the motion was.
It's all in consent,
Yeah.
so it's under the, it's right there.
3? Okay.
It
We'll
looks a
move on.
little different on the screen you're looking
Okay.
at, so.
Then we go on to the regular agenda.
Can I stop the board for just a second? I want to make a statement to the folks who just spoke. I feel like we just skipped by them, and it's probably, I don't know how we typically respond to public comments, but this is an alarming deal. It's terrible. And
The difficulty.
And we appreciate them looking for any solutions whatsoever out there. I mean, these are students and parents and grandparents coming together to find solutions for this public health crisis that we're facing in our community. And I don't think there's anyone in this room that it hasn't touched in some way or the other. So it's time that we all come together to find some solutions.
I think the difficulty in a board setting is because it wasn't an agenda item, it'd be a sunshine violation if we had a comment on it. But I think the mental health team that they've got that's meeting with Sandra Cantwell, that she shared, is a great place to launch. But that's why, as a board, we can't give much comment because it would be in violation of the sunshine by not posting that as a public agenda item.
If I could gather myself,
You're human, Sheriff, and that's all right.
I'm a part of the safety committee, and we will address it.
God bless you, sir.
I think that's a good place to do it. It's got to start somewhere. That's a good place to start.
I like the fact that the students will be behind it as well. They're the ones that are going to be the soldiers of our Army.
Thank you, Sheriff. Making this start.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Dave?
If I may, it doesn't necessarily have to be a board effort. All it takes is a smile from one person. Whether it's one of you guys walking through a hallway, seeing a student that is having trouble. It doesn't have to be a legal action to take care of something. To just see someone and care about them and have them smile. A smile is free. It doesn't cost anything to help someone have that. Legalities are there's such a fine line that have to be walked. But to walk them in one room and then do what you know is correct in your heart is a complete. I graduated in 2010. I live at 2719 Connecticut here in town. Watching students in my grades bully other people, and then watching students of current grades get bullied. It is absolutely atrocious. I am personally embarrassed to be called a Joplin student anymore because of all the bullying that goes on in this town. And not all of it is school-based. Bullying doesn't have to be from another student. Bullying also resides at home through parents that aren't there for a student, aren't there for their kids. It's a community-wide effort. So to put it all on your shoulders is not correct. But to reach out as an individual and just try to be part of the community is what is actually needed. I do appreciate everything that you're trying to do for students that have had rough times in current years. But sometimes a policy isn't what's needed. It's just a person.
Thank you. I'll share, and there's other things that happen too that we don't necessarily see. Even yesterday, walking through the high school, there were Post-it notes put on people's bags on the walls that said, "I love you." And it wasn't that kind of "I love you" that you're worried about. It's that I care about you. And so there are things that are happening that we don't see. Those good stories don't make it out as often as the bad ones. So it's not always gloom and doom, but we need to address it and not run from it. So we've got a couple avenues to do that.
I think as a board, I don't think we have anything to worry about any of us being behind it, because that's a given.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now we do, I guess, need to take care of some other business as well. We've got the prime contract, item G1 for the
Yes,
early
we
childhood education?
have a few changes, and Dave's here to talk about them as we close out the finishing touches of the new Early Childhood Center, and we just have a few small things we need to take care of.
Okay. As we segue from the discussion that we just completed with the folks that are behind me, let me tell you that through being a part of the process of building early childhood and seeing what's gone into the project, as well as visiting early childhood, that you could boil the curriculum down at early childhood to hugs and encouragement. And so let me say that with a new building, with a new vigor for what they're doing, I've been watching that in action and am encouraged to begin to finalize this process so we can bring you a new building moving in next week. So we're bringing to you 4 things for a total of $7,325.38. The first thing is limestone benches, which were placed on the playground area, but which we had great concern as to the safety of our students participating in the regular playground activities and that being a danger to them falling on some corners. So we relocated those to the front of the building to still be a part of the landscape of the building, but to remove them from as much of the activity as possible. The second change order is for the city has required some additional building numbers for identification for the building for the address there on McClellan so that is visible for emergency services. A 3-compartment sink addition. In the original discussion of the design of the building was that it wouldn't be licensed for child care, but they have since worked that they're working toward licensure for that, and the 3-compartment sink will be needed as an addition to take care of sanitizing toys and those things. Not a food service item, but more of the things that they have to take care of to meet the state licensing requirements. And then the picture frame hanging wires were a design that we wanted to make sure that we incorporated. If you've been in the building and seen the picture frames, we wanted to be able to hang the artwork in those picture frames, and so that design has been added. Again, for a total of $7,325.38, and that will reflect in the contingency fund the end of February, $133,342.09, and with your acceptance of these change orders this evening, we'll put the contingency at $126,016.71.
All right. A motion to approve.
I move we approve change orders, the 4 change orders as presented.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Deborah. There's no discussion, please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes.
And if I may just remind you, the move is complete. We are in the building as of last Wednesday. The teachers are busy unpacking and finding new places to store things. The kids will be received next Monday, and invite you again to April the 5th on Thursday for the ribbon cutting at 4 p.m. and open house from 5 to 7 on that same date.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank
What
you.
time is it? Is that 4?
4 o'clock for the ribbon cutting on Thursday the 5th.
Next up, Corner Greer.
Okay, you want to stay here for that, Dave?
Yep.
We, as you know, last month you went ahead and approved the selection process that we went through in terms of the request for qualifications. And in the last month, we have been working with Corner Greer on a contract, and after several discussions with the organization, or the company, I should say, we have come to a conclusion of a contract that we would like to submit for your recommendation and approval, for our recommendation, your approval. Basically the contract would be a 7% based on estimated construction would be the fee for the architect, with some minimal printing reimbursements that might also go with that as far as the contract. We've also secured liability insurance from the architect as well in the last couple days. So we feel like we have everything buttoned down pretty tight in the contract, and we're ready to get started.
I have a question. In here, it says that they have a lump sum fee of 7%, but then down under 7, was it 7.6? I can't remember. I looked at this earlier, but it said something about true expenses plus 20%.
That's the reimbursement.
Those are the
rate.
reimbursements of copies.
Okay, that's what
Right.
that's for. Okay, so
Yes, that's nothing. It's a limited scope of types of reimbursable expenses, and mostly copies that might have to be made at the architect's location.
okay, so that didn't
Can
have
we cap
anything
that?
to do with the,
Well, I talked to him about what's typical, and a lot of times on a job like this, we might be talking $4, $5, $6, $8, $10 for copies, an additional
Okay.
fee. We're talking real minuscule.
Okay.
And we're not going to be doing large sets of prints like you would for a big job. And so we also will probably have to have prints shopped out to a printing company, not done by him.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So we will keep those to a very small minimum, as much as possible.
Sure.
I reviewed it. I mean, I had a lot of the same questions that you all are asking, and Carrie has comforted me by telling me that the architect's not going to advance very many expenses for
Okay.
us. So for that reason, I intend to approve it.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on the contracts? So are 2 and 2A separate? One is the remodel, the other one's the contract for Corner Greer?
I think
Is that
it's
how-
just the contract
just
that
the
we're
contract.
approving, because we
Yeah.
approved
Looks like, okay.
them last month. so.
There's some
It's
exhibits
approval
and
of the
attachments to
fees.
this.
So 2AC. All right, I'd be happy to entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Sherrick made the motion and Derek second. Please vote.
yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Accounts payable.
As I'd indicated earlier, the expenditure side are staying well within line in the budget, but you might notice we have $12 million we're spending since the last time you approved bills, and which is much more than we typically see, and caught my attention too, which I knew what it was, but I figured you observed that. But if you'll notice, there was a electronic fund transfer up there where we paid $4.5 million of the principal and interest of our bond payment. So you back that off, 4.5 million, we're back down at 7.5, which is more our normal expenditures. Plus, I think we had an extra payroll, just the way it fell in this one. So I'd recommend you approve the bills. I went through, and part of that is there was a fee, some money, I think, Crossland is continuing to pay that out. So everything else seemed to me that is pretty well routine expenditure items, and there were really no outliers there of major concern.
Okay, thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve accounts payable as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, I made the motion, Derek second. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, that motion passes. Thank
Can
you.
I ask a question? Ron, how are we doing on the interest on that account that we moved our money in?
Well, that's some of it that I mentioned earlier.
Is that-
Now, we reinvested it, and that's going, we have 3 investments that will all mature in May, because we make a June 1st payment of $1.4 million, and that's already, we've got planned to do that. And when we reinvest it today would be 2.3. So, I mean, at the present time, there are about $9.5 million that are in that fund. And so if we got 2% on $9 million, that's $180,000. That would be just
Bless you.
for that
Excuse me, thank you.
FEMA escrow account that we set up. So,
Great.
yeah.
We'll take it.
Good, thanks.
Thank you. Next up, summer school.
Okay, so this is for the board approval for this summer school, our application to DESE. And just to give you guys the sort of a heads up on our summer school, we're increasing summer school this summer to 4 elementaries where we did 2 last year. Doing it at Irving, Cecil Floyd, McKinley, and Soaring Heights. And opening up middle school, we're providing transportation, breakfast and lunch. Beefing up our program so that we can get more kids. We'd like to get as many kids to summer school as we possibly can. Fun activities, including a lot of hands-on kind of problem-based learning, STEM kind of things, and then obviously high school will be credit recovery, an opportunity for incoming freshmen to earn credit in health and PE, and then take the transitions to high school class that Mr. Flora does. And so anyway, the hope is that by providing transportation that we'll get as many kids as we can. Enrollment went out today, and the communication plan has gone out, and so we really want to encourage as many parents as we can to send your kids to summer school. It should be a fun activity, a fun summer. It'll start May 30th and go to June 29th.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it should be fantastic. It's been several years since we've had middle school kids at the middle school. We're really looking forward to that. We're going to do a weights program where the high school coaches come down and really work with the kids that are interested in not just athletics, but doing kind of the whole PE/weight thing at the middle school for those kids, and then obviously offer that for credit at the high school. So
very good.
And I would like to say Miss Ashley has done an absolutely incredible job helping put all of the summer school stuff together. And outstanding. We're meeting this Thursday to kind of go over what middle school will look like.
Okay.
Well, I'll move that we approve the summer school application to DESE for the 2018 summer school program.
Second.
Motion by Deborah, second by Jennifer. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Next up, Dr. Gilbert.
Okay. And so
school math.
This is for the middle school math. And this, as we brought elementary last month, this month we're bringing, if you notice, it's Houghton Mifflin Go Math. And Go Math is it's rated among the highest of all math programs that are available on the market. And just to give you a little bit of background, it's if you remember, some of the math that we were using in the past is based on our old standards, and with the change in Common Core and now Missouri Learning Standards adopting all of that, the rigor of mathematics has gotten significantly greater in lower grades. And so this Go Math, the Houghton Mifflin, is a very, very good segue from the elementary to middle school that will prepare the middle school kids for high school. It also has a component for advanced 6th grade math and advanced 7th grade math to prepare kids prepare kids that are eligible for that to then segue into algebra and then beyond into high school. So it's an incredible program, and I will say we've gotten a really fantastic deal on it. There's an online component with it, and then there's all the materials that go along with that.
And workbooks.
The math teachers are super excited about this. Yeah. Professional development comes along with it too, so I would recommend that we adopt Houghton Mifflin's Go Math.
I'll make the motion, we approve the recommendation as presented.
Second.
Okay, so I made the motion, Jennifer seconded. Any discussion?
I have a question. I'm just curious. I don't know if you can answer this or not, but do you know how many of our math classes have been flipped? Do we have flipped math classes?
Sure.
Is there a?
It's kind of hit and miss.
Yeah.
So just to kind of let everybody know what a flipped math class is. Like, for example, a teacher might teach a lesson on polynomials, you know, and so they would say, go home tonight and watch this video on polynomials. Tomorrow when you come to class, you should have a fair amount of information about polynomials so we can kind of hit the ground running, and that will give you a leg up on that. I think there are several teachers that do that. I don't know, you know, if they do it. I know several teachers that do it. I don't want to say that it's a practice that's common, but I don't want to say that it's uncommon either. So there is that flip math, but the thing about it is typically that's taken place in the 8th grade because that's where the device is in the middle school. The high school is a different story. I will tell you this, I know that Mr. Whitney and Mr. Hancock at the high school, oh my gosh, their mathematics is, it's not only flipped, but it's their RTI process, everything they do, it sort of emulates that whole process of kids knowing exactly where they are by virtue of the mathematics being online. And then, like for example, Mr. Hancock and Mr. Whitney, they videotape the lessons that they teach every single day, and that they're then available online. So that's not exactly flipping the class, but it is. I know that Ms. Peters at South Middle School does a lot of flipped. Mr. Williams is here. Mr. Williams, do you do flipped math very often at North?
Not really.
Okay, so it's kind of, yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
If there's no other questions, please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, Dr. Gilbert. Next up.
Okay, we want to buy some school buses.
Yes.
And Mike Bevis and Dave Pettit's here too to provide a little. We brought Dave to provide a little historical perspective since Mike's been involved in bus purchases in another district as well as here already, but also we kind of had an unusual situation, as you noticed, that we only had really one qualified bidder that got their information in on time. One of the things I want to make you aware of too, when you look at the cost of the bids, the way the prices that came out that were apples to apples on the buses that were the similar or identical, I should say, to the ones we bid last year, there was about a $1,200 difference in those from this same company. But anyway, I want to let Mike tell you a little bit about the bid process, what he did, how he reached out to try to get bidders, basically similar bidders that we had in the past, and what happened.
Right. Normally we use, there's like 3 main manufacturers, sales companies that we go to. It's Midwest Bus Sales, which is Thomas Buses / Freightliner. We use Central States. We always ask for a bid from them. They're the Bluebird company, which a lot of districts use, but we have so far been pretty much International, which is our 3rd company we go to, and that's Midwest Transit. So you got to kind of, they sound the same, but you got to keep them a little bit separate. But they are the international dealer. We ask, I think at least, well, since the last board meeting, we send out emails. We post the bids that we're requesting, a bid request online on our webpage. Eric's called at least a couple of them. I've emailed and talked to the Bluebird guy because I knew him from another district that I was in. So we get those out to them. They acknowledge us that they either are or are not going to give us a bid. 2 of them said that they would, Midwest being one of them, the international dealer, the other one being Bluebird. And the 3rd one, when we finally heard from them this week, in fact, I think it was the day of, we checked again with them, and they said they were not going to give us a bid. No reason, just they were supposed to send us a thing stating that they were just going to do a no bid for us. However, we did not receive that. Central States, which is the Bluebird company, told us he would be here on time to read the same bids. In fact, he and the International Midwest Transit were here both last year. That's where we got our bids from last year. And I think we had 1 no bid last year, so that was the 3. So anyway, our Midwest guy showed up, and about a half an hour before, we received a message from the Bluebird dealer salesman saying that he, in fact, I've got his note here, says, I regret to inform you that Central States Bus Sales will not be submitting a new bus proposal as you had requested. Please keep us on your vendor bid list as we would like the opportunity to bid on your new buses in the future. So that's what I received from Central States. And then the other one we had, he was there for the reading, which it was his own bid, and we pulled it out and looked it over and brought that to you tonight. So that's kind of how the bidding works. And then if you want any, you probably figured it out. We kind of broke it down a little bit on there about we've been approved to try to get 8 buses. This year we are wanting 6 of the regular buses, just like we got the 4 last year. They'd be pretty much the same. I think they're 2019 buses. And then we requested the pricing for the same type of bus, only with air conditioning units built into them, which I'll do that at the factory. If you want reasoning for that, it is that the only air conditioning buses that we currently have are our wheelchair buses. And so what happens, we have a lot of special needs students that have to have, in the summertime, we have to keep them air conditioned, or their medication or other things in their IEP can cause them a lot of problems. So if we have a trip or something that one of our elementaries or schools going on, we have to provide an air conditioning bus for that student. Now we've only got so many wheelchair buses, and we've got to pull it off to go take care of one student. Or this, we could use it for the whole group and not have to pull off those other wheelchair buses and continue to use them. So that's kind of the example there. They gave us a good pricing on them. We did take the understorage off of the driver's side on those, and just that saved us a little money, and then kept it on the passenger side and added the air conditioning.
So this bid is for air-conditioned buses?
2 of them.
2 of them. 2 of them.
6 regular without, and then 2 with.
2 with.
And they're all 71 passenger.
And just to confirm, the same spec sheet that went out last year, same
Yes.
one this year, that we had 3 bids last time? And
we've not really changed anything.
Okay.
It's going to be the same engine, same frames.
Just want to make sure that it wasn't a special configuration, that we only had one source that we could get from, and this just happened to be, timing was such that we got one bid and shouldn't necessarily penalize them. And
I mean, it seems quick because we last year we got approved, I think, to get some buses. I don't remember exactly how, at one board meeting. And then we were coming in to get them to go at the next one. Well, then they pushed it back because they weren't sure how many they wanted to actually, how much the finances were coming together to get them. So then we were so far down the line that by the time we got our 4 new buses, it was Christmas. So if we were to get this in, and not that, I mean, if we need to wait another month, that's fine. But right now, if we get this in, we could have these in and ready and licensed for the beginning of school, which puts 8 new buses. Well, yeah, it put 8 new buses basically on routes this year, instead of just putting them in as trip buses, which is how we kind of enter them in. The 4 that we got there, we'll move on down the line to put in there, and usually we keep 6 trip buses.
But I'm thinking in a policy standpoint, do we have to have it in writing prior to for approval, so that we have it in writing? Because we don't have the 3rd one in writing.
I would defer to the policy committee.
That's what I'm putting that out there.
I don't understand what you just said.
I'm saying our policy is that we have 3 bids. We do not have one in writing. We only have 2.
We don't have 2.
Well, one is
Yeah,
a no bid.
one has declined.
2 is a no bid, but we don't have any.
But we don't have the 3rd.
Can we just document, we called them and they said they weren't going to submit one? Would that work?
I think you have to have it in writing, is my.
And you requested that, they just didn't send it?
We did, yeah. They were supposed to get it to us Monday afternoon. They had we contacted them before again to see, and they said the guy that was supposed to be their salesman was not available. The secretary assistant was supposed to get in touch with him and have him send it to us, and it didn't happen.
Due to the near pricing from last year's buses, I have reasonable confidence that this is a fair value for these buses.
Mm-hmm.
What I question is whether or not we're not casting a broad enough net. If we've got one group who never wants to give us a bid, and somebody else who didn't, I think that the preference from my perspective, is that we would at least have visibility to more than one bid. It's hard for me to believe nobody wants to sell us buses.
Do they give reasoning, not to interrupt you, Sheriff, but do they give reasoning why they don't want to bid?
The third one did not, to my knowledge. They didn't say anything about it.
I'm with you on that. I don't understand why you wouldn't.
Now, I can give you an idea that there's, like I would say Neosho, they've been a Bluebird company or district. And the same three basically that we use here are the same three that they asked for bids down there. And Bluebird wins the day with them. Now it's not that they make it that way, but according to
we never
their
get the bid,
specs,
so why bid?
What their mechanics like, what their district says is good for their district over the years, Bluebird works for them. And so I don't know if Bluebird makes their specs a little better, it comes out ahead, but then the opposite could be said for us. Joplin's been international for I don't know how many years. You know, you've been there forever. And so pretty much our barn, our mechanics, all of our software is set up for that. That's not why we do it, but I'm just saying that's part of the reason. The other groups were going to say, well, and usually Bluebird does give us a bid.
So
he had something come up, he couldn't be here for it, so.
For a guy who doesn't know anything about buying buses, which is me, if there's another bus builder, for example, is it reasonable to assume that if they're configuring the same buses that you ordered, that their prices are going to be near the same?
I would say it would be close, I think, because they're going to go off the same specs and do what they can. But the main part is like Bluebird won't be able to come up with, they may get a closer price, maybe even, I don't think it happened since I've been here, but maybe even cheaper, but then they're not reaching one of the specs that we've requested to have. Maybe they don't go with an Allison engine.
Right, so are specs limiting our choices?
I suppose they could. You could probably look at it that way.
I mean, is it reasonable to assume that, should we become a more flexible district in terms of the types of buses that we know how to work on? And I mean, how much is a software to buy? I mean, that's so much of that stuff's just downloadable off the internet anymore. I mean, I don't know anything. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know. And so I just want to ask those questions before we spend $750,000.
Right. I know the question's also been asked, why haven't we tried to get international buses and get a bid from another dealer somewhere, but it is their restricted territory for them, so they won't give another one from them. If that makes sense.
Well,
they can only go to this
it
dealer
makes,
in this area.
Yeah, so then, if we're just buying an international bus, then they're going to direct us to our local dealer because of their dealer territory.
Yep.
So if we're requesting bids on international buses, it seems like we're really not issuing competitive bid requests. I mean, is that a fair statement? I mean, if I'm asking forgive me for any car manufacturer out there, if I say I've got to buy a Ford, and we're going to buy it in Joplin, I'm not really shopping. I'm going to a Ford dealership and buying what they're offering.
If I could speak from history.
Please do.
Yeah. Matter of fact, 4 years ago, the last time we bought buses, we brought in a Bluebird bus, and they left it with us for a week. And we went through that because the specs that we have written don't make it exclusive to international.
Okay.
So we brought the Bluebirds in, and there were some things that we liked better about Bluebird than international, and vice versa. But when we looked at that, and then we looked at the bids, and the international was a lower price at that point in time. Well, the training that our mechanics have, the software, the parts that we can keep in stock, all of that just solidified staying with the international. We have, I believe, 4 or 5 Bluebird buses out that we purchased back in the early 2000s. So it's not that we've never allowed them to be a part of that bidding process. As a matter of fact, last year they gave us a bid. So
our bid sheets are not exclusively international. They're just for a particular size passenger number. I mean, you know, when I get on a bus, which has been about 100 years now, there's not a whole lot going on in one bus that isn't going on in another.
Well,
I mean,
there's a basic.
It's power plant difference that you're buying.
Right,
isn't it?
but basic specs that the state of Missouri puts out too, and the federal puts out, that
I'm
those
assuming
specs
all,
are on there as well.
I'm assuming all
So
those.
they all have to meet those.
Manufacturers are going to meet those specs, though.
Right. But then, yeah, then there's different gauges of steel on the frame, or Allison engines. Well, like I said, I've already said that, but those ones that he was talking about on the Bluebirds, I think a lot of that too was the, I don't want to say it, the workability, the ability to get to the engine and work on it, which kind of threw them, you know, their preference at that time. And I think it's still the same type of deal.
And so it's fair to say, for example, that we may carry a parts inventory for repairing buses that is going to be more beneficial to this particular bus than maybe a different brand bus, because we might already have parts in storage or inventory, if you will, that would support these buses.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair to say. Yeah.
So,
It is in the policy that they have to be 3 written bids. I'm not against it, and we've been through, you know, we've kind of talked about it, and I'm totally for buying these buses, but I think we need to get them in writing. I'm putting it out there, it says it in the policy, 3 written bids, and I think we need to keep that in mind.
April 17th.
That's true. My concern about that, and I obviously don't want to break from policy, but
No.
if people are not submitting bids, and we can't control whether they submit a bid, how are we ever going to buy a bus?
Exactly.
Well, and I agree with that, I just think
Can we make an
we need
exception with it
to.
or amend it and work on getting this? I mean,
Debbie, where are you getting that from?
Well, I'm
can we
having
vote on the
trouble,
purchase with an amendment?
DJF-1.
I'm having trouble getting to it. I've been trying for the last 5 minutes.
DJF.
We don't want to get buses at Christmas or.
No, and I totally
We wanna put
agree.
Under the
service.
competitive purchasing.
Okay, Dr. Langford was just showing
Yeah,
that to me.
it's-
That's for
it's
less than
less
15,000.
than 15.
That's for
Yep.
less than $15,000.
Yes, but it also then says purchases over 15,000 will be bid in accordance with procedure and submitted for board action. Well,
Well,
is
I
the
guess it would be
procedure
board action.
what
I
they just
I think
said?
what the operations have been, if the district, if they're making smaller purchases, they've got to document it with at least 3 written quotes. We cannot spend anything more than $15,000 without getting your
Without our-
authority to do that. So one is with board action, one is without board action.
Okay.
And
So
so the
we're
bidding
okay.
process is that you go out for public bids. It doesn't specify the numbers you return.
Right, I was going
we're
to
okay
say,
to
it
approve
seems like
this.
we've taken board action buying stuff without 3
Single
bids.
bid.
Right.
Several times. I
We're
mean,
okay to
But we
approve.
put
There's
3
gonna be
bids out.
times that you
We
will
have
have a single
documentation
source.
of 3
Yeah.
bids
But we
out.
had
I can tell you
documentation,
that they
that's
said
what I
no.
But if
thought.
we put out 3 bids, we send it to these 3, and we have documentation, hey, we want, and one
Right.
doesn't send us, we can't go
Right.
beat them up over it. I mean,
Well,
Can't force them to
you
send
can't
it
force
to
them to
us.
send us a piece of paper saying, I'm not giving you a bid.
I know, I'm
I
just
understand what you're
saying,
saying, but-
it's an interpretation, and, you know, I work in policies at work all day too, so I'm just saying, I don't want anybody, regardless of how I vote for it, I'm doing it on my knowledge of prior stuff, so I want to protect. It's not that I'm
Sure, that's
against
fair.
it on it, not at all, because I think we need them bad, so.
Well, I'm going to cowboy up, and I'm going to make a motion that we actually purchase these buses for $713,536 based upon the recommendations from our group here and the conversations we've had.
I will second.
I'll
I will
second your
second this whole
cowboy
side of the
Motion
table
by
right now.
Sherrick, second by Derrick and Company. Please vote.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Next up, articulating boom lift.
This might be a little different discussion. Dave can explain a little bit more in detail what an articulating boom lift is, but you kind of have an idea because we need to get up high and change a lot of different things out, whether it's lights or paint or whatever it is we need to do. But Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, the reason that we're requesting an articulating boom lift, we had looked at this last year and had placed it on the capital outlay for 17-18 year. With the new facilities that we have, with the wonderful auditoriums that we have, gymnasiums, the gymnasiums at the high school, the PAC, getting to light bulbs or basketball goals is very difficult. And we need as large a boom as we can get to those, but it also has to fit through the doors. So we have brought to you the largest boom that we can get height-wise that will fit within our doors. What we've been doing is renting these, but we've been deferring the maintenance so that we don't have to rent very often. This will allow us, one, both interior and exterior buildings to have the accessibility for roofs, chimneys on some of the older buildings, interiors of the buildings, to access those areas that have been difficult that we've had to rent equipment from. We looked at some used equipment. Prices are fairly close there. The one that we're looking at purchasing only has 752 hours on a 2007 model. And so that's why we're bringing that to you, to avoid, one, the rental of the same type of equipment, but also allow us to change light bulbs instead of waiting till 50 are out in South Middle School's auditorium, doing it when there are just a handful out because we already have the lift available to us.
It looks like that there are funds available within our capital outlay budget to pay for this.
Yes, sir.
I'll move we approve the purchase of the articulating boom lift.
Motion by Jennifer, second by Lori. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay. That motion passed. Bada boom. Next, contract lawn care service.
One of the things that we've tried to do a better job of the last couple of years is we've really tried to make sure that we get our lawns mowed more effectively, more frequently, I should say. And that even became a challenge last year with even as we brought in full-time bus drivers, with the number that were available to us and that were able to actually mow. What that also caused is whenever in the months before school is out, the 5-6 week period before school is out, but grass is growing. And the 6 to 7 week period or whatever it is, when school comes back in session and grass is still growing and we have trips both times, well, that takes bus drivers, away from trips. So what we did was we looked at the number of bus drivers we could use this summer, and Dave has a number, I think, is it six? Six. But to make sure that we could get the grass mowed coming pretty quick, if this rain ever stops, we know the sun will come up sometime, we need extra help or assistance. And it was, well, how do we make that work? And I will let Dave describe why we came up with this process and why we think it can help us.
Essentially what we did was look, we're bookending contracted lawn services. We still plan on using our full-time bus drivers this summer along with our utility crew to take care of the facilities that we have. What we've done is we placed a bid on the street for taking care of 8 of the elementary schools. To mow those, we're approximating 8 mowings before school is out for the summer when we'll bring the full-time drivers on, and then approximately 8 after. So 16 mowings. And we put that out for bid with those, gave the acreage of those, allowed access to those facilities for them to look at. And the bids that we received 2 bids, at least 4 packets were picked up, we know specifically from us. Not sure how many looked at it online, but we did receive 2 actual viable bids, and we are recommending the Midas Cut bid for $23,653.12.
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
The overall scope of that number versus the amount of mowing that we did last year and the staffing that we had last year, and adjusting that staffing and taking care of the mowing with the contract will result in essentially a null outcome to the actual budget. That's not an increase. What we're doing is a contracting with them rather than paying some additional folks who are not really available because they're trying to get the buses driven during that time.
This is for 8 schools?
8 elementary schools.
So when the bus drivers aren't available to mow, who does the mowing?
The
Who has
utility.
been doing the mowing?
Utility crew.
And we're not paying them extra to do that?
No, that's part of their regular job description.
Are the bus drivers going to be missing out on any extra pay by not being able to do that?
No, they'll actually make more money.
They will?
Because of the trips.
Because the extra utility work that we pay is at a lower scale than what they make as bus drivers.
Okay. I just want to make sure they're not going to be missing out on money that they depend on.
Yeah. They will be helping Mike with the trips. Before, we took them off the trip list, so they were mowing for us with extra hours outside of their route at a lower scale. Now they'll be working for trips at their regular bus driving scale.
All right.
I guess I've got a question, is how were our two vendors selected for bid?
These are people that we put a bid out last year because we didn't know where we were at for lawn mowing services, and we did not receive any prior to the bid date. These were both people that came to us after the fact, that heard about it after the fact. And so we reached out to both of these, as well as, like I said, we had two other people that we know received the packet. So these were people that showed interest. The other two, I believe, either heard by word of mouth or must have seen it on our website.
It's 2 bids, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the difference in the two bids is huge.
Substantial.
And, I mean, it just kind of makes you wonder how people bid the job.
Mm-hmm. Well, they were given the opportunity to visit those. We broke it down in the bid of per mowing price. So,
without being goofy here, what is the average sized mow?
probably with the elementary schools, let me see if I have that.
Just
And
a
I do
general
actually have
acreage
that
is what
broken down.
Well, it's all over the board because we've got schools from
Right.
9 acres.
Cecil
to
Floyd is
7.
13, a little over 13
That's
acres.
what I asked.
13, yeah.
Yeah.
And the smallest would be Columbia and Jefferson at 2.7.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can mow Columbia in about 10 minutes, so.
With scissors.
But, and so
Right.
that includes mowing, trimming, weed eating, edging.
Yeah,
And mowing
hearing
outside.
13 acres helps adjust my opinion about it. I mean, I think of all the schools in the district, and I don't think of really large areas of grass to mow, except certainly, there are a few, I realize, so.
I wonder if we had put it out, and we didn't on purpose because our full-time bus drivers work in the
Yeah.
summer, but I think, would you have the option there, or we want to entertain the option if we needed extra assistance in the summer that we might be able to use?
Yes, we left it open if we needed extra assistance, if we got behind, that since we have it broke down per mowing, per site location, that we could call them and offer that to them.
And I don't want to
assist.
take this far afield, but can you tell me what mowing equipment that the district owns?
That the district owns?
Uh-huh.
We own approximately, it's either, I believe, 12 or 13 riding lawnmowers, and then various.
Where are they parked? Are they at the district?
They are kept at the old bus garage as well as the new bus garage.
So they're trailered to wherever the job?
Yes, correct.
And these folks are using their own equipment? I guess.
Yes.
We have no maintenance cost. And this is total
Right.
price for the,
This would be
Eight
for
and
the
eight.
16 mowings.
16 mowings,
For those
okay.
8 schools, yes,
I'm gonna
once a week.
move- I'm going to go ahead and move that we
I have
approve
another
the,
question.
oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm still trying to wrap my head around, I want to make sure we're not taking money away from our staff. And Dave, I know you know what I'm
It's
talking
fine,
about.
it's fine.
So I know during the summer, they don't take trips, the bus drivers.
Correct.
Am I missing that? So they're still missing out on mowing.
Does summer school
There
and the
you go. No,
expanded
summer.
transportation that we're offering for summer school play into this need any day?
No,
Okay.
to be honest with you, I took volunteer signups from full-time bus drivers, and I only had 6 respond.
Okay.
And those 6.
That's all that wanted
Those
to-
6 are the ones we're going to put on the mow crew.
Okay.
And
Fair
one thing I
enough.
want to add, because we only have 6, and we only have, 7 in the utility crew? That's 13 people to mow in the summer, not counting vacations that some of the 7
It's still not
full-timers.
enough.
So it's extremely hard
for us to make sure, especially if it rains a lot, late June, July, well, like it did last year, whatever it was, for us to keep up with 13 people. That's why this option to come back and look at this again, to have them come back and mow additionally is a possibility. But
Okay.
we're going to do what we can. We're going to see if we can make it work with 11, 12, 13 people, considering vacations. Another thing, to your point, I have to wonder, Sherrick, that if we would have put a bid out for the entire summer, it might have been possible that we may have got more bidders. You know, this was a unique, I'm just wondering that out loud, because if we would have told, maybe there was more lawn companies that want to say, you know what, we're going to work for Joplin Schools, we're going to be working every week the whole mowing season, we possibly could have got more bidders. And in the future, to augment our staff, if it continues like this, that may be the way to go. We may come back next year and say, you know what, let's go with 5 or 6 elementary schools the whole time. What's the best, most cost-effective way to us to get the 12 or 13 people we have, get the lawns mowed, and still be, you know, I'm throwing
avoid
that
the
out there.
community phone calls.
I think we have to
if
look
the
at
grass
that.
is
I think
too
this.
high.
Yeah,
yes.
I gotta tell, it's really important that we maintain our properties.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yes, sir.
I totally get that. So, I just, you know, I think if a bunch of kids can go out there and mow it, and you can pay them, it won't cost you more near that, but they probably don't own their own equipment, we don't really want kids
Insurance, like-
running equipment on our property, I totally get it, so,
I just want to make sure.
while one bid looks crazy, the other's even worse, so. Here we
Well,
go.
if it brings it into the scope, Columbia, which we mentioned.
Yeah.
They're charging $96 to mow that.
Yeah, I averaged it out just now, and it looks like it's just under $200 per mow. So, you know, when you throw in a 13-acre job, that's a real deal there. So
Right.
I get it.
Sheriff, couldn't we get you to stop by
You
Columbia on your way
could.
home? And
I could get that deal done.
You can go out there and just push mower. You can push mow that baby.
Black socks.
There you go.
I can do that.
And slides.
There you
And
go.
slides, yeah.
I'll take care of that for
You
you.
wouldn't embarrass
Steve
your
can
kids
stop
at
in.
I
all.
want to see a picture
I don't
of
care
this.
what my.
They'd be
my
proud
kids-
of you. All right.
Now, Sherrick, did all that come with the preempting of a motion?
I was starting to motion the approval of the lawn care service, which apparently is going to be funded within the 2018-19 facilities operating budget.
All right.
Second that.
Motion by Sherrick, second by Jennifer. Please vote.
Yes.
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 No.
Okay, yes, that motion passes. And just thank you, and just, you know, make sure you communicate well so people don't feel like they're losing their opportunities.
No problem.
Thank you. All right, next up, commodity food processing for the school year.
Rick Kinkle is here, like he came last year at this time, and he wants to make sure that we get things in line for next school year. So go ahead, Rick.
Kind of give you a little rundown. The commodity processing, the state, DESE, gives us, I think this year was close to $225,000 to purchase commodities. So, you know, raw chicken, you know, how do you serve that, or how do you use that to the students? So, you know, we use our vendors, you know, I think there's a couple of 2 or 3 chicken distributors. We do some taste testings with those, look at their pricing, what they're going to charge to take a chicken nugget and put it into a whole muscle chicken nugget versus a ground up processed chicken nugget. So, you know, we've got a lot of factors in there and a lot of things to consider, but breaking it down, it will cost the district $71,000 more to process that $225,000 worth of commodities. I was trying to think of what the last year's number was, but I do believe it was close to the $75,000 mark as well. So I don't believe it's plus or minus a lot of money there. And that is funded through the food service program. So that's commodity processing in a nutshell.
All right. Any questions about commodities? All right. I'll make a motion that we approve as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, so I made the motion and Brent seconded. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Thank you. Next up, student information systems.
Okay, Eric Pitcher and his wonderful assistant Heather have worked very hard putting a committee together, had numerous meetings, spent lots of hours, talked to lots of vendors, and Eric, I believe, has some faculty members, staff members to come up here and also talk, kind of give you a flavor about what they did. But essentially, the student information system is kind of the lifeblood of what we do when it comes to entering student data, information, grades, attendance, and it's tied directly with our core data folks, Brenda and Nathan. Nathan Powell is here. Nathan, come on up, please.
And Brenda's here.
Oh,
Brenda's here
and
too.
please come up, Ms. Nerol, and anybody else?
We have two people from the company that we've actually chosen for you guys to approve.
Come on up, Brenda. We have
That way-
There's no chairs.
Go ahead and get a chair. And essentially, there are many people that are involved in this process because this student information system is tied to everything. It's tied to our funding, it's tied to all our reports, it's tied to confidential information, it's tied also to special education information, IEPs, which is federal. I mean, it's all over the place, so it's a very critical piece. Over the years, I've been involved in several selection processes, and I've seen over the last 15, 20 years, things really evolve and change a lot, okay? And the vetting process is very important. We've been with Infinite Campus for over 10 years, I believe. And anyway, I want Eric to kind of take you through what we did. This is a lot of money as well, but it's a very important product that everybody in the district will use. And these folks here, these power users, are very key people. They were involved in the process. Okay.
As Dr. Saketa said, it's been about 10 or 11 years since we've even put this out to bid. So hearing some feedback about Infinite Campus and stuff, we decided it was time to take it out there and test the market and see what was available out there and to make sure we were getting the best bang for our buck, basically. So this is the committee members. Not everybody could make every demonstration, but we had a good mix of people there at every demonstration. So these are the companies that we looked at. We had, how many bids did we have, Heather? I can't remember, 8. And these are the 4 that we picked to look at.
They were the 4 that met the requirements for our bid.
And of course, Infinite Campus put in a bid too, but nothing really changed from their pricing. So after each demonstration, we put out a survey. So you can see, as we go through these slides, you know, does the SIS seem to have an easy reporting system? EduPoint, according to everybody, was kind of the winner over that. Does the SIS seem to track discipline in accordance with Joplin needs? EduPoint seemed to win out over everybody else. Does the SIS seem to track attendance in accordance with Joplin's needs? Again, EduPoint seemed to beat out everybody else. Does the SIS seem to track enrollment in accordance with Joplin's needs? EduPoint seemed to beat out everybody else once again. Does the SIS program seem user-friendly? EduPoint beat out everybody else again.
Can I ask, is your committee that
This is the
rated
committee,
this?
yeah.
Okay, this is the committee that rated.
Does the SIS seem to meet the teacher's need in a grade book? EduPoint again, once again, beat out everybody.
I see a pattern.
Does the SIS seem to meet Missouri State reporting needs? Okay, this is where we kind of fell a little bit. But
Okay.
we're first in state, which means EduPoint is not in Missouri. I should take that back. They have a special ed program that they do run in one of the cities here in Missouri, but they don't do the complete SIS system here in Missouri. But what comes with first in state comes with a lot of perks. One, Brenda gets to customize the reports and make sure she gets them set up like she kind of wants them, as long as they meet the Missouri standards. And we have 2 executives within the company that are going to champion us. So Brenda says, hey, I need this report set up like this, and they're going to try to make sure that that happens the way Brenda wants it to happen.
And we do have two representatives from the company here too, so if we need to ask them any questions, they're here.
So the second in-state people get whatever Brenda wants?
Yep, pretty much.
Good to know.
Brenda knows. She knows her core data.
I did reach out to a couple of the first in-state in other states, and I did hear back from the one in Washington, and this person said it was a good experience, and EduPoint is still to this day committed with them to make sure that the state reporting is the way that they want it. I have a call back to the other one, which she said she was in the middle of a budget stuff, and she couldn't get back to me until tomorrow. So it seems very promising, and they're here to answer any questions if you want. But this is the one place that we were worried about, and Brenda's, of course, was a little nervous, but she feels pretty confident with everything that they've put forward also.
So that's basically, it doesn't currently, but once we start it.
And we'll get to that too, but basically we'll get it in now, we won't get billed until July.
Oh, no, that's not what I need.
No, but I mean,
with your reporting that.
One of the things is that we get it now, and so we can start working on that right away, so we'll be ready before the next school year starts.
I noticed that Redeker or Redeker does not appear in the bids. I assume they're kind of the low favorite in there.
They were very elementary comparative to the rest of what the other companies had to offer, and not impressive.
They're not on the bid sheet, or they're just on the bid sheet?
On the percentages, they're right.
No, I suggested on the bid sheet. The vendor bid is not given. I realize.
We can get that to you.
I suspect it's lower based upon your.
It's also, I think they're higher than.
Oh, really?
What EduPoint was, but I can't quite remember. So.
Dr. Moss, how do you feel about the state reporting component? Because that falls on you.
Well, it's always a little nerve-wracking when you're the first one to go with the new product, but I think that the committee, and if they're more assured, I'm assured, and Brenda and Nathan I would look to as our experts in core data and reporting. So the fact that they reached a comfort level with it, and this was clear and away the voice of the committee, then I'm sleeping at night about it.
Okay.
And I'll let Brenda answer this, but she feels that the reports are there, and that it would just take a lot of her time to get them together, but with their support, and they're going to make the reports the way Brenda wants them, I'll just let her.
My feeling is the data will be in the system, and at this point, there are ad hoc reports that are available that we can actually pull the information if we need it. But then designing the reports that automatically calculate everything is part of EduPoint's procedures to put in place. But the data will be in there.
Okay.
In the student information system.
The other thing that I've heard a lot of positives about is its integration with Canvas and some of the things that we've heard a lot of complaints about over the years. This should solve a lot of those problems.
And that's the very next one.
Oh, well, thank you. Your segue.
Does the SIS seem to integrate with other servers easily? EduPoint won that one out also. And does the SIS seem to be able to handle mass imports from common files? Everybody felt EduPoint edged everybody else out? Does the SIS seem to have sufficient role user permissions to accommodate the separation of duties in Joplin schools? EduPoint seemed to be the most flexible in that area. Does the SIS company seem to offer sufficient PD around the new implementation of the SIS?
Let me guess.
EduPoint? They offer quite a few days and stuff compared to everybody else. This is a comparison. With our current one, we pay about 88 right now, and with EduPoint coming in, we're being first in state. We get a 50% discount on almost everything. So implementation and the actual product is less than what we're paying for Infinite Campus right now. And we figured over 5 years, we'll save about $115,000.
And they won't charge us extra for the reports. They're going to have to bill for Brenda.
Nope. That's all part of it.
For free.
Here are some of the things, these were at the end of the survey. They said about EduPoint. You want me to read them, or is everybody just read them?
This doesn't look like a very difficult decision.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Doesn't look like we're buying buses here.
Well, I'd make a motion.
This is
Can I
just-
do that, or what?
You can, yeah. We don't have to finish. This is just how many states are in. This is just about the company and stuff. We get executive sponsorship by 2 EDU VPs and the ability to influence final design, and license and hosting discounts 50% and comprehensive implementation 50%. They've also, looking at it, we get 5 years of Infinite Campus. I think if I'm remembering right, gets inputted into EduPoint. So. And the rate above that is the actual action item.
I'd like to thank the committee's work on this.
Yes. Yeah, thank you guys.
And I recommend that I make a motion that we approve the purchase of EduPoint SIS program.
I'm just trying to motion.
For $85,315.
I'll second.
The reason we're, sorry. Go ahead. I was gonna say, the reason we're seeking approval tonight is so we can get it in next month, but it won't come out until the July 1st or when I go to make the Infinite Campus payment.
But you'll get the opportunity to play with it before then.
Yeah, that's the transition.
Okay, so Sherrick's made a motion.
Lori seconded.
Lori second. Okay. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes.
with that.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry that we saved you to the end. If I'd have known there was such a big group, I'd have moved you up a little bit. But thank you for sticking it to the end here. Next, policies for update. First reading.
Yes, as Jennifer explained earlier with the policy committee update, you have first reads, and these are motivated by statute.
I will move that we approve 11A through F for first reading.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Jennifer, second by Sherrick. Any questions? Policy committee reviewed them all. No issues. Okay, great. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that motion passes. Brings us up to plus deltas. All right, we're to the end. What did we do well?
I think we showed our human side a little bit tonight, which is always good.
Exactly what I was thinking, and the human side were the very words that I was thinking, and nothing wrong with that.
Nope, not at all.
That's an important subject also.
Glad that the community's coming together and working on, so we can come together and work on this problem that's coming around.
All right, any opportunities for improvement?
Well, I made a note to look at the wording in that purchasing policy and make sure that we are clear on procurement procedure versus actual gotta be three.
Yep.
So,
Any other?
Good catch, though.
Well,
You know your
it's-
wording.
Until I can get it in my head, then I'll be fine.
All right.
I
It's
hate
the
it not
amount
to
that's the
vote for
difference.
it.
It makes it hard to understand.
It does.
Board announcements. Next Tuesday is the election. Next Thursday is the ribbon cutting at 4 o'clock at the Early Childhood Education Center. And then open house starts at 5. Anything else?
Do you want to introduce
Oh.
the other candidate that's here?
Deb Fort is here with us tonight. She's a candidate for the school board for the election coming up. Any?
And I'm a candidate, and you're a candidate.
Yeah. If there's anybody still watching at home, we're candidates still. All right. Nothing further. I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All right. Please vote.
Yes.
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 Brent?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we're adjourned.
Okay.